Hi everyone, I'm Drew with Mobility Direct, and today I'm going to show you how to do a transaxle replacement on a Golden Literider scooter. As you can see here, we have an old transaxle with brake, and we're going to be replacing it with this new one right here. And this is going to be compatible on models GL111D and GL141D. So you're just going to need some basic tools, a pair of cutters, pliers, drill, screwdriver, and a socket set. And of course you're going to need some Allen keys. And in all fairness, I've already loosened up the tires on this particular scooter to make this video a little bit easier for myself. Just make sure that you have a full socket set, and we're going to go ahead and get into this. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to take off the wheels, and that's just with a simple nut, and you're going to slide the wheel off, and it also has a little key that's involved inside there, and that's going to fall out as you see right there. And we're going to put that off to the side as well. We should have all new hardware with the new transaxle, including nuts, bolts, all that good stuff. So if you have any questions, make sure that you do give us a call. We'll be able to get you the parts that you need, and this is the exact OEM replacement from Golden Technologies. So guys, take your time on this. This is not a race, and I will tell you it's a bunch of steps, and going through this, we're gonna show you exactly what to do in all the steps. So follow this step by step, and you'll be able to replace your own transaxle. So we're gonna get the wheel off on the other side, and then we're going to start tearing down the rest of the transaxle so that we can separate it from the frame. Okay, so as you can see, I like to keep my desk nice and organized while working. It really helps to replace things. So when doing this, again, you want to take your time and make sure that everything is exactly in the same orientation when you take it out and when you put the new transaxle back in. Because I promise you, if you don't, it will not work the way that you think it's going to, and you're going to have to start all over. So if you're watching this video, make sure that you follow this instructional video step by step. So right now I'm putting on the brake lever to the electronic brake. Of course, it didn't fit in the box with that, and the chance it could get bent, so it doesn't come attached. It's very simple, and you're just gonna screw these in, and on the back side of it, it'll be a little nut to tighten it up. It's a very simple process, and you're gonna see that there. So remember to keep the orientation the exact same way. If the metal bar is on the outside, put it on the outside. If the metal bar is on the inside, put it on the inside. Just make sure it is exactly the same. And it is definitely not the easiest of tasks, and that's why it's important. So as you can see right here, I'm having a little bit of a difficult time getting the piece to fit correctly. But again, you do have to do a little finagling. There is a little protective cover on there, and you gotta make sure it gets out of the way so that you can hook it up. So now that I got it there, I should be able to go ahead and get the screws in, align them, and be done. And while we're watching this video, make sure you head on over to our channel and make sure that you like and subscribe to our channel. Our channel is filled with a plethora of information to help you repair your scooters, or perhaps prepare you to buy a new scooter. We do all sorts of videos. We take scooters all over the place. We fix scooters, and we show you, what exactly you can and can't do with them. So make sure you visit our website. We do a free mobility scooter giveaway every month. We give away a mobility scooter to one of our lucky subscribers. That's right, all you have to do is like and subscribe. That's it. Okay, so now that we got our screws in the back, let's go ahead and put the nuts on the back side so that the screws cannot come out. Remember, take your time. Don't want to force anything, because if you force something, you're probably going to break it. So just tighten those up, and we're going to move on to the next step. Alright, so as you can see here, I'm going through my socket set here, looking for an attachment to be able to put on the nut to the electronic brake. It was rather hard, and this was machine put together, so for me to be out in the field to do this or in the shop, it's going to require some patience and to make sure that we get this done the correct way. So again, take your time, make sure you have everything aligned and that you have the proper tools to be able to do this project. Alright, so let's go ahead and tighten up the nut on the back side of the brake and get this to work now that we have the right tools to get the job done. Tighten it up and let's move on to the next step. So we're just attaching the handle here to the brake, and from there we're going to be able to start stripping down the rest of the transaxle and put the new one in its place. Alright, now let's get into the more fun stuff here. So let's go ahead and cut these zip ties so we can remove or disconnect the wire harness from the motor. And as you can see there is a cover that is over the top of that, and we need to separate it so that we can disconnect it. So with a little bit of patience, you'll be able to reveal the connector and disconnect the two. And you might need a screwdriver to get the clip underneath it. I'm going to do my best, use my fingernails, see what I can do. Let's see here. And we're going to grab that clip, bring it down, and then we should be able to separate them now at this point. Just stick your finger in there. You might need a screwdriver to separate it. Sometimes you need that. But in this case, I was able to take it apart no problem, but it would be a little bit easier if you pressed in with a screwdriver on the little clip and then slide it out. So now let's get to continuing to removing all of the components from this frame so that we can start from scratch and remove this transaxle and install the new one once and for all. Okay, so what we're going to want to do now is identify these bolts on the outside of the frame. Basically what this is it's a through bolt through the frame which clamps the motor to the frame. It's a very simple operation. You're going to see that this is actually really not that hard at all. It's quite simple, and we're going to go ahead and remove all 4 bolts so that we can separate the transaxle from the frame. So grab your socket set and your Allen key and go ahead and start removing these guys. It might take a little bit of force depending how old yours is, if there's any corrosion. You might need a little WD-40 to break things up, but take your time, follow this video, and you will have success. So we're just going to continue to remove these 4 bolts, nuts, and washers so that we can separate it from the frame. We're almost there, and make sure that you do take off 1 nut and bolt from each side. This way it's not falling all over the place and you end up having difficulty working on it. take your time, get these bolts out, and once you separate the bolts, you'll be able to remove the transaxle. So we're almost there, and we're getting one more bolt left here, and that's going to separate it, and the entire transaxle will be able to come apart. And remember, it is so important to keep the same orientation. Otherwise, if you install it wrong, you're going to have to reinstall it again. Now, once this last bolt comes out, we're going to be easily able to drop the transaxle. It's going to be very, very, very simple. As you can see, there's no rocket science to this. It's just a matter of placing things in the correct orientation, staying organized, and keeping a clean work environment. So now that we're done here, I should be able to just go ahead and get this transaxle up and out of the way. Just like that. It was that simple. So all we did was undo 4 bolts and cut a couple zip ties and separated the wire harness. So the next step here is to drop the new one in, so pay attention and we'll get that done for you. I hope you're enjoying this video, and make sure that you like and subscribe to this video. If you find this content to be useful, you could also win a mobility scooter just by subscribing. Make sure you do tell your friends and family. This way you increase the odds of winning a mobility scooter. So make sure you check out some of those videos as well. We do a lot of giveaways, we help out the community, and we do anything we can to lend a helping hand. So let's go ahead and align this puppy back onto its frame and get it screwed up and get the scooter back to working condition. Okay, so as you can see, I am preparing the stage, my workbench, to go ahead and drop this brand new transaxle in. This will be easy, and what you need to do is make sure that you get off the anti-tip wheels too, because what happens is these anti-tip wheels clamp, and as you can see, they have like a C-channel type of clamp, and that's going to go over the sides of the transaxle, and that wedges to the frame, which holds the transaxle into place. So make sure when you're doing this, you take your time and remember to follow this orientation. Otherwise, you're going to do it all over again, and it's going to give you a headache. So just go ahead, take these anti-tippers, slide them over the rubber grommets on the transaxle, and once you get everything aligned with all 4 bolts, it's just in the matter of go ahead and tightening them up and moving on. We have everything assembled here. The brake is assembled, so we're just putting everything back in its original place. Remember, folks, there should be absolutely no extra parts remaining. You shouldn't have any extra washers, any nuts, except for the 2 nuts that come on the end of the transaxle and the 2 nuts and washers that go to the brake. Make sure that you put everything back in the same manner that you took it out. If you took off a washer, make sure you put a washer back. Everything needs to go back in the same manner that you took it out. Otherwise, you are going to have issues with your scooter. These scooters are built to spec, and it is extremely important that when you repair them, they go back together exactly the way they came apart. Alright guys, and now that everything is bolted back together, the transaxle is installed, so the only thing left we have to do is really get the wires intact and get the wheels back on and the shroud and put it all back together. That's all we got to do. So moving forward here, we're just going to go ahead and put everything back, put the zip ties back, put the wheels back, and go ahead and attach it back to the scooter. This is the travel scooter, and this is the rear section. It is detachable, so we're going to connect it back to the scooter, and the scooter is going to have many more years to live. So make sure that you connect that wire harness. Without that, you won't have any power to the motor or brake. The scooter will not work, and you will get an alarm or a flash code or a beep code on your particular scooter. So make sure it's connected very tightly, and go ahead and put those protective covers over the top. It helps prevent any water from getting in there. It's not waterproof, but it just helps prevent water. So at this point now, let's go ahead and remove the nuts that are on the end of the transaxle. Actually, before I do that, I want to go ahead and hand tighten down all the bolts. Make sure everything is nice and snug. You don't want anything loose. Just make sure it's on there real firmly tight. And you want to do that to all 4 bolts on the transaxle. And you want to go back and forth and tighten them. Make sure when you tighten one side, the other side doesn't give. So again, it takes a little bit of time doing this, but it's easy work. It's not hard work. You always want to make sure everything is tight. These are moving parts. You don't want your transaxle to fall off. That could be catastrophic. So it could cause an injury, or you could damage your scooter beyond repair. So again, make sure everything goes back the way it should, and make sure that you tighten everything up. Okay, so let's go ahead and remove these nuts from the transaxle so that we can slide on our wheels. As you can see, there is a keyway, and the keyway does come pre-installed on a new transaxle. You will not need a new key. And just like that, put the washer back on along with the nut, and you're gonna tighten it up and hit it with that impact drill. You know it works when you use those. And go ahead and rinse and repeat and do the same thing for the other side. Take off the nut, take off the washer, locate the keyway, line them up, and go ahead and slide it right on, just like so. And you want to grab your washer and your nut, put it back on, hit it with the impact, and replace your little hubcap, stems, whatever you want to call them. And that's really it, guys. We have just about completed the installation of this transaxle. We're just touching up the final ends here, putting the wheels back on, and that's it. Again, guys, if you found this video to be informative, please make sure that you like and subscribe. You could win a mobility scooter. And last but not least, let's get that zip tie back in place. You don't want any wires hanging down low and out of the way. You want to make sure that they're out of the way and not hanging low and in the way of any moving objects that could potentially go underneath the scooter. And we're going to grab another zip tie and attach it to this bar so that the wire does not come out at all and it has zero chance of moving. So let's go ahead and secure that up, cut these zip ties, and wrap up this video. Okay guys, so let's go ahead and cut this final zip tie off and put the hubcaps back on, one on each side. They just press right in, and that's it, guys. That's it. It's over. We have successfully installed the transaxle